Hi guys, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about Star Treatment. We're going to be going really deep into the first verse of the song because I think it's the verse that really sticks out, is a very important verse for the song. So yeah, let's get right into it. So Star Treatment is the leading track from Tranquility Base, and I think that is very important. So before we get into the actual verse, let's talk about the context of the song. So Turner was very much struggling for ideas after the brilliant AM, and he admitted he had writer's block in interviews, and the band was probably mid-hiatus while the song was being created. After feeling like he'd done everything he could on a guitar at the time, Turner turned to a Steinway piano, which he had been gifted as a birthday present, and he did that for inspiration, and this was one of the keys to breaking his writer's block. Now, looking at the album as a whole, Tranquility Base is set in a dystopian future on a hotel on the moon, and is often narrated by a washed-up lead singer of a band called the Martini Police. The album was heavily inspired by books such as 1984, Brave New World, and Amusing Ourselves to Death, all of which are genuinely essential reads. Now, I'll go a little bit more into depth about Amusing Ourselves to Death because that book is essentially what the whole album is about. And it comments on the television's effect on a culture. And without getting too deep into it so as not to bore you,
they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
It alludes to how television creates modern day problems such as a lack of attention span,
when you're not really fine,
less deep debates, and information glut. So that's the context of where Star Treatment is written. That's what's going on at the time. So let's take a look at the actual lyrics and what's going on in the song. So from the opening of the song, we can hear that piano straight in action, with an almost dreamy C-7 arpeggio into an F7. Turner has explained in interviews that Star Treatment is a song about songwriting, and we hear that from the very start in the lyrics. I just wanted to be one of the Strokes, now look at the mess you made me make. Now I can imagine Turner just sitting there repeating that chord sequence, waffling away to himself, hoping some lyrical genius turns up, as he was probably accustomed to at that time, straight after AM. And when he ended up stuck, he decided to focus on that very emotion of being stuck. And this line is very important. It's our first hint that the album isn't about this narrator on the moon or a dystopian future on the moon, but it's a metaphor for how Turner feels years after the Monkees' rise to fame and about the world we're living in today. Now, it's not entirely clear what mess Turner is referring to, but for me, he's referring to the situation he finds himself in. I just wanted to be one of the Strokes, and now here I am, with the world expecting another album, and I have no clue what to write about. And the following lines build on that. Hitchhiking with a monogrammed suitcase, miles away from any half-useful imaginary highway. Now, a monogram is a design consisting of two or more alphabetic letters combined or interlaced, commonly on one's initials, often printed on stationery or embroidered in clothing. And with that definition, it's almost certain Turner is referring to the album AM being on this suitcase. The metaphorical highway seems to be like a train of thought, and Turner concludes that he's nowhere near anything useful, but he's still having to drag along that emotional luggage and expectation that comes from AM. A potential link to this idea on the album is in American Sport, where Turner says, I've lost the money, lost the fame, but I'm still handcuffed to the briefcase. If this is the same case that Turner's talking about, he could be again talking about that writer's block, metaphorically losing the keys to the briefcase, containing the style and ideas from AM, but he's still handcuffed to it. Whenever people think of him or the Monkees, AM as an album is never far away. That's how good it was. The verse continues in the same vein. I'm a big name in deep space, ask your mates. But Golden Boy's in bad shape. Now Golden Boy, again, seems self-referential, reflecting on Turner's Brit Awards, Glastonbury headline appearances, and his Olympic opening ceremony performance.
Invoice me for the microphone if you need to.
He continues, I found out the hard way that here ain't no place for dolls like you and me. I think here's an important moment to just stop for a second and step into Turner's shoes at the time of writing this album. The Monkees were sent to stardom by I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor when Turner was just 19. It wasn't a steady rise to fame, one day it was just their lives, and there was no chance to think about the consequences before releasing that record because it just happened. And maybe that's what this line means. Turner has never seemed to be a fan of the fame, with no social media presence, often short interview answers and sarcastic award acceptance speeches. Finding out the hard way means to do it by experience, and maybe Turner is discussing how he doesn't want his entire life under the microscope in the spotlight. Finally, we arrive at our first amusing ourselves to death reference. In the line, "Everybody's on a barge, floating down the endless stream of great TV." 1984-2019. This is yet another sign that this dystopian future on the moon that Turner is painting is really just depicting the present day. And he's entirely right. The line creates such a clear image in my head. I don't know if it does yours too, but you can see exactly what he's talking about when you just look at the state of society as it is now. I mean, just looking at my own generation, the screen on times people have on their phones are astronomically high, and the negative effects the digital age is having on people is just not even close to being a secret. The use of the word floating is perfect. The majority of the Western world seems hypnotized by the endless stream of content that is just made for them, and they just pump out at it, scrolling away, hours a day. And Turner rounds off this verse with an ironic comparison to the world of Orwell's 1984, which is often heard in the media today, when in reality, we live in a world so much similar to Huxley's Brave New World. Going on a slight tangent from star treatment and its exact meaning, I'd like to talk about what the Monkees did at Glastonbury very recently. It's worth remembering that Turner laid this verse that I've just been discussing through over an extended outro of I Wanna Be Yours at Glastonbury for the very first time ever, on the biggest stage under the biggest lights in the world. Now, is there anything behind this? I Wanna Be Yours has regained popularity since going viral on TikTok, and I believe Turner mixed these songs for that exact reason. Tranquility Base polarised fans completely, and in my opinion, a big reason why so many fans didn't like it is that it takes a while to adjust and to appreciate its complexity, just like I've been doing. Something that a TikTok generation would refuse to do because of their attention spans. For me, Turner is confronting these fans, saying, you like this because it's on your barge as you mindlessly scroll, but not this because it's not. Which is an opinion I'd agree with. A lot of fans I've discussed Tranquility Base with claim not to like it, but also admit that they haven't even listened to the whole thing.
You just can't get into it because they would never understand.
It's so much easier to enjoy AM because it's constantly being played around you in the mainstream, whereas Tranquility Base is not, which is a big reason why it's probably not as popular. And for me, Turner calls out these fans on the biggest stage at Glastonbury. So yeah, anyway, that is an in-depth analysis of just one verse of Star Treatment. Beneath the experimental melodies, Turner packs deep, abstract meanings behind lines, at times discussing himself, and at others putting a mirror up in front of the listener and encouraging us to snap out of the dystopian future we're creating for ourselves. Now, there's so much more I'd like to unpack from this song, but there's a lot to soak in from what I've already said, so I'll leave that for another time. Thanks for watching. Hi guys, thanks for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed so I know what content resonates, and subscribe if you want to see more of the same. I really want this channel to be a community for music fans, so feel free to comment your opinion down below and try to start a discussion. If there's any content you'd like to see me cover in the future, leave a comment with that too. All the best, see you next time.